Hey folks, welcome back to Only Best Fantasy Novels. My name is Robin, and today I want to talk about Queen Demon by Martha Wells. This is the second book in her Rising World series, and I enjoyed this one quite a bit more than I did Witch King, which at this point I attribute to being a bit more familiar with how Martha Wells writes her stories. But let's get into it. What is this book about? It has two major plots, basically, similar to the first book. We follow two stories in two timelines. In the past, we follow the story of the demon Fort Prince Kai, as he in service to a particular tribe as they prepare to face the imperialist genocidal hierarchs, and they begin to form a coalition that will become known as the Rising World. It's a conflict that can really only end in in the eradication of one side or the other. So that's the past storyline. And then in the present, we have a situation where Dahin asks Kai to accompany him on a mission with no details provided, no context, nothing. And Kai just jumps right into the fire and agrees. Which is how he finds himself embroiled in a mystery that has terrible ramifications if what they suspect is true. So, like the first book, we're just thrown straight into it. Martha Wells doesn't waste time. She doesn't waste time coddling and explaining and describing stuff. Instead, you're left to largely infer things from context, and you get she just states things, states facts, and you're left to infer and kind of follow along as you go. And this is now the third book I've read from Martha Wells where she has like a similar approach, and I think that's why I actually enjoyed this one quite a bit more than I did the first book, because I was much more prepared for this this type of storytelling that she does. All that being said, this is still very much like the first book. This is very much a slow burn, almost languid political fantasy thriller kind of story. It can feel creative at times, it can feel compelling at times. And it's very much a book, just like the first one, that demands your focus and attention. If you don't hone in on this book when you're reading it, you will get punished, which is what I think makes a lot of people bounce off the first book. But anyway, like I said, I actually enjoyed this one quite a bit more than the first one. Maybe it's because I was actually able to follow the story quite a bit better. Or, I don't know, maybe this one was just a much more entertaining outing than the first one was. Either way, somewhere or the other, I enjoyed this one quite a bit more. And in this one, we essentially follow Kai and his ragtag band of misfits as they set out to potentially confront the return of a threat from the past. As to the execution of those plot threads, like as Kai prepares to confront this threat both in the past and in the present, like I said, what essentially unfolds is very much a political fantasy thriller with a lot of drama, a lot of high intrigue and suspense and these kind of things. Like, this is a very character-focused, relationship-focused story. There are some scenes where or some moments where there is some action and that kind of thing, but by and large, it's very much intrigue driven. It's very much a political fantasy, if that's kind of your jam. It's all about the plots, the mysteries, the character dynamics, that kind of stuff. And the cool thing about this is that it all culminates in a story that the consequences are more focused on the characters as opposed to the world as a whole. So you get a much more focused story, you can say. Like, it's not epic fantasy in that scale where the ramifications are like earth-shattering. It more deals with the characters and what it means for them individually and their relationships and these kind of things, their dynamics basically. The other cool thing about it is that the way this book ends, there is very much going to be a sequel. So honestly, at this point, somewhere or the other, I'm actually pretty invested in the story, which is amusing, because I didn't enjoy the first book that much. I like this one quite a bit more, but this is still not a series that I would really consider like a favorite or top tier or anything. You know, it's an okay read, it's a fun read, but that's about it for me. Which is why I'm actually surprising myself by saying I'm very interested to see what happens in the next book that's going to be coming. And I think a lot of that has to do just with Kai's personality. Like he's very much a no nonsense, no filter kind of character. He just cuts straight to the point. He doesn't waste time coddling the other characters and these kind of things. Like once you give them a clear overview, he doesn't dilly dally when it comes to them and that kind of thing. Like, and that's just a trademark of that's not specific to Kai. That's just a trademark of Martha Wells' stories, I think, because like I said, the third book I've read from her, and they've all been very character focused stories at this point. She just, when it comes to things like the world building or so, that a lot of other writers tend to focus as like the highlight of their world, she just slams you with it. Like, it is what it is, it's just a backdrop, and the focus is very much more on the characters and what they do in these situations that they're confronted. And that's very much the case here. Like, she doesn't waste time with unnecessary history, description, that kind of thing. Instead, you get just enough you get just enough to derive context for whatever situation the character is in. And once I kind of like realized that that's how this book went, I was able to quickly pivot as a result of that and just sit back and enjoy and really spend time with these characters and just enjoy what was the relationship dynamics going on here and these kind of things. But ultimately, like I said, all in all, it's an okay read. Like similar to Witch King, it didn't blow my mind or anything, but I did enjoy it significantly more than I did Witch King. I honestly didn't even intend to continue the series. I don't know how I managed, why I requested an arc for the second book, but I did, and I'm glad I did because it was a fun time. I think it's because I actually enjoyed reading Martha Wells' City of Bones so much more, and I was ready to try something else from her again. But yeah, like it's an okay series, and Martha Wells' writing just makes it above average for me. And if you're into deeply like character focused or like politically focused fantasy, this is the book and this is the series for you. Yeah, I think that's really all I have to say about Queen Demon. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.